Today on the HopeFilled Financial Podcast, I have a bowling story for you, and it borders on the lines of insanity. Our budget tip pertains to taxes, and our listener question is about what to do with money after you're maxing out your retirement. Finally, our main topic is about payday loans. Are they your friend or your foe? Good morning and welcome to the HopeFilled Financial Podcast. My name is Jay Desberger, your one and only HopeFilled Financial Coach, and I'm happy that you're here with us today. Once upon a time, I was told that bowling and golf had a lot in common. Something to do with relaxing and swinging your arms in order to propel the ball in the sport. But the thing that really got my attention was the relaxing part. I was always told when I was in youth bowling and I was being coached in prepping for a tournament or prepping for league that I had a hard time not forcing the ball. In bowling, you want the weight of the ball to be the primary thing that's moving your arm, the primary thing that's letting your whole body flow through the motion of bowling the ball. And if you force it too much or you squeeze the ball too hard, you end up introducing error because you're forcing it, because you're simply trying too hard. I remember my coach, Tim, pulled me aside one time and said, Jay, you're white-knuckling the ball. You can't force it. You gotta relax. You gotta relax to do your best. You need to stop thinking about all of the things that are going on. Stop trying to keep everything in your mind and just go with the feel. I need you to do something different. I need you to break away from what you're doing and just feel the flow. Focus on just one thing. Focus on one thing. I want you to relax. Can you relax for me on this next shot? I remember going up and I did my absolute best. I tried really, really, really hard to relax. And I still white-knuckled the ball. I threw it straight into the gutter. And I came back and he's like, I told you to relax. You weren't relaxing. And I was like, I'm trying really hard. And that was just an embodiment of my type A personality, taking everything so seriously and trying my hardest over and over. Relaxing is challenging. It takes practice. It really did. And my scores were suffering when I was really forcing the ball, when I was squeezing it, when I was white-knuckling it. I needed to figure out how to break the cycle. And my coach was right. I simply needed to relax to bowl better. And relaxing took practice, and it wasn't something that was intuitive to me, and it didn't jive with the way I'd always done things. But I'll be darned if I didn't do better once I could learn how to relax. Bowling in that respect became a very therapeutic exercise for me and a life lesson. In this particular story, there's more than one. Let me know what you learned from this story in the comments. Now it's time for today's budget tip. Today's budget tip is to have a sinking fund for your taxes. Even if you have withholdings from your job, you may still end up owing taxes. And in my opinion, it's actually ideal to owe a little bit of taxes come tax season. Here's the reason being. In our withholdings, we are basically giving the government the money that we hypothetically owe them ahead of time, before they're due. When we go and we file our taxes, if it turns out that we overpaid the government and we get a big tax refund, it effectively means that we loaned the government money that we didn't owe them, and we loaned it to them free of interest. We don't get any gain from lending the government money without interest. And we increase the odds that we're going to see tax season as a major windfall of discretionary money we can spend on whatever we want. When in reality, that money was a part of your paycheck. That money was money that you earned. And it's money that belongs to a frugal purpose in your monthly budget, in your frugal plan for your hope-filled financial future. But that being said, I think it's advantageous to try to get your withholdings as accurate as possible, if not be just a wee bit shy from what you're probably going to owe. Then have an idea of how much you may owe in taxes and set that as a goal for your sinking fund for taxes. Divide that number by 12, and that's how much you need to be saving into your sinking fund each month in order to pay your taxes. Now, you may not end up owing everything that's in your taxes sinking fund. I typically don't. I have a little bit of a cushion there, and I pull from that sinking fund to pay my car tags or property taxes when they come due. But it's nice to know that when tax season rolls around and I end up owing money, that I have the means to pay it without having to crack into another sinking fund of mine or my emergency fund. Having this one sinking fund dedicated to taxes gives me a lot of peace. Now, it's time to answer a question submitted by you. Today's question comes from Abby. Abby asks, I am currently maxing out my Roth IRA and investing enough in my 401k to get my company match. Is the next goal to max out my 401k before putting money elsewhere? That's an interesting question, Abby. Thank you for asking. So, when it comes to your 401k, the current law in the United States has a ridiculously high limit as to how much you can put in your 401k every month, even a Roth 401k. And if you're maxing out your Roth IRA and getting your company match, well, you're putting a good bit into retirement. Now, the real question you need to be asking yourself isn't, should I continue putting more money into retirement, but am I at this point putting enough into my retirement? You want to look at your plan for retirement, how much you're contributing, how much you have in there, and how much you expect your retirement's going to be when you can access it. Current tax code dictates that you can't access your retirement money without penalty until 59 and a half. And the analysis of if you're putting aside enough is going to involve how much you're putting aside in Roth versus traditional assets, and if your safe withdrawal rate that you're planning for retirement in order to generate your income from your nest egg, whether or not that safe withdrawal rate is ever going to be exceeded by your required minimum distributions that will be applied to your traditional funds. Now, this sort of analysis, this sort of math is a statistical problem in a sense, because there's no such thing as a guaranteed rate of return when it comes to investing in the stock or bond market. And while I may cover this in a future episode for a main topic, subscribe if you don't want to miss when I cover that, I don't know if we're going to have time to cover everything that I'd like to talk about in this one answer. The long and short of it is you need to understand your retirement plan and if you're putting enough aside given all the varying facets of retirement planning. If you have a financial advisor or a financial coach, or you're looking for a financial coach, you want to figure out if you're putting aside enough. And what is enough for you? Is it going to help you retire with dignity and live out your hope-filled financial future, your dream for retirement? Beyond that point, putting more of your discretionary funds toward retirement may not be the best use of those funds. If your goal is to retire early, before you're 59 and a half, it could be a better use of your funds to invest in a taxable account or a bridge account that is not tax sheltered under retirement rules, so you can access it earlier. Then you can live off of that money for the time between when you retire early and 59 and a half when you access your actual retirement funds. And if you don't want to retire early, the question is, what matters most to you next? Or you might want to ask yourself where you are in the HopeFilled Financial footsteps. They're available on the HopeFilled Financial Coaching website, HopeFilledFinancial.com. On the homepage, you scroll down, there are 8 steps that I recommend for anyone and everyone to follow to attain their hope-filled financial future. Part of your retirement goal should be living completely debt-free and securing a roof over your head. So other good uses of money might be getting out of debt, or paying off your home if you have a mortgage, or saving up for a home down payment if you don't have a home yet. In summary, Abby, I'm going to recommend that you review if your retirement plan is on track for the retirement that you're dreaming of. And whether that's the case or not, refer to the HopeFilled Financial footsteps in order to figure out what your next big step is. And if you're at the very end, you've made it to step number 8, well, you get to do what you want with it. What matters most to you? It doesn't necessarily need to go into maxing out your 401k. Now it's time for today's main topic. For the main topic today, we're going to be discussing payday loans. What are they? Why do they exist? Who are they for? And are they something to be avoided or something that we can utilize? So let's answer that first question. What is a payday loan? Payday loan is a short-term loan that is supposed to help you get from one paycheck to the next. Thus, a payday loan. It is due on your next payday. If you still have financial needs after your last paycheck is made, well, a payday loan is marketed to be a way that you can get cash fast that will be due on your next payday. That way, you can get the money, cover your needs, and then just pay it back the next time your paycheck rolls around. And here's an interesting thing. They don't charge you the traditional way that like a credit card is going to charge you interest. A credit card is going to be charging you a traditional and recognizable APR, an annual percentage rate, a compound interest rate. Student loans and personal loans are going to charge you in a similar way. But a payday loan is different. They're going to charge you a fixed number of dollars per $100 that you borrow over the span of the loan, typically 14 days to 30 days, 2 to 4 weeks, typically the standard gap between paychecks. And they're going to say you owe us, say, $15 for every $100 that you borrow. The actual average amount is somewhere between $10 and $30, but let's use 15 for the example. So you go to a payday lender and you say, I want to borrow $500. Well, in 2 weeks, they're going to charge you $75 in order to take out $500. So you come back 2 weeks later, you'll owe $575 from that next paycheck. And unlike other loan situations, they're not going to compound that interest. The loan is due then and there, and they're not going to roll it over and continue to charge you $15 per $100 in the loan. You pay them then. But what happens if you have too many needs that are already eating up that next paycheck? What if you can't pay it? Well, you can go back to the payday lender and say, hey, I can't pay you back for this. They'll say, well, you pay us the $75, you pay us the interest that we charged you, and we'll renew it. We'll just let you borrow it again for another $75. Your loan gets extended for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from now, you'll pay us $575 if you can pay us at least $75 today. And last I checked, about 80% or so of payday borrowers are repeat clients for payday lenders. They're going to be using that renewal for the payday loan. Now, states have laws that restrict how many times you can go back and renew your loan. Here in Missouri, it's about 6 times, so you can get halfway through a year with renewed payday loans before you actually have to get the thing paid off. And if you don't pay it off in full when it's actually due and you're out of renewals, well, they're going to take you to court over it. They will take you to court over the tiniest amount. So why would someone use a payday loan instead of a credit card or a personal loan to make ends meet for the temporary when things get tight? Well, you don't need good credit to get a payday loan. You need good credit for almost anything else. And if you've maxed out your credit cards and you no longer have access to that to borrow money when things are quote unquote tight, well, a payday loan may feel like the last resort. Here's the problem. The way that a payday loan works, if you were to take the way that they charge, say in our example, that $75 and carry it out through a year, I know it's not legal, but let's say you went to another payday lender, got the same loan, and continued another 6 months or so. Well, you can calculate an effective compound interest rate that would result in the interest you'd pay over a year renewing a payday loan, and on average, it's somewhere between 300 to 600% a year. For contrast, the average credit card only charges you 19 to 20%. Now, that's still a lot. If you were to go and invest in the stock market, the market over the last decade per year has averaged around 10% return, give or take, if you don't account for inflation. So a credit card is going to be charging you nearly double to triple what you can get in the market if you're investing, and a payday loan is going to be charging you 10 to 20 times what a credit card would charge you interest-wise. That's disgusting. And it's almost impossible to get ahead if you're paying that kind of interest rate on money, even small amounts. I'd say it's predatory. And what really gets me going is the state of Missouri has the highest limit for payday lenders. They can charge you up to 1,950% equivalent APR on your payday loans after fees and interest are all accounted for. That's like paying over $160 for every $100 that you'd borrow from a lender over the span of 2 weeks. Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. When it comes to payday loans, this is the epitome of taking interest and translating it into something that's difficult to understand and charging people with it. They effectively take a ridiculous, disgusting interest rate and mask it behind this short-term loan that looks like a quick fix for a situation when you've maxed out your credit cards, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you feel like you don't have any other options. Simply, we can conclude that payday loans are just trapping people in a further cycle of debt and interest payments that are hampering their number one wealth building tool, their income. And it's preventing those who are paying these ridiculously high interest rates from having the discretionary income necessary to be investing for retirement. the discretionary income that's necessary for you to be able to leverage compound interest and to earn it, to understand it, and live your hope-filled financial future because of it. So you're in a situation you're considering a payday loan. What do you do instead? Well, think of it this way. You have bad credit, which means you probably have a history with debt that's unhealthy already. And you're trying to solve the problem of having too many needs at the end of the money by seeking out more debt. We need to do what I had to do in the story about bowling. We need to stop doing the same thing that we've done over and over and over before that's not working, and we need to break the cycle. We need to do something big. You need to make a decision that's unlike anything else you've done before. And you need to follow the wise advice of someone who has gotten past this vicious cycle and broken free. You need to do something big. If you're in a situation where you think you need a payday loan, something big you could do that's different than taking out more debt would be to sell something. Let go of something that has enough value to it that you can take care of those needs until the next paycheck comes. Sell stuff in order to pay off your debt. And if you sell enough stuff to dig yourself out of debt and get rid of enough of the interest that's tearing up your income, well, that's going to give you enough of a foothold to start paying off your debt one step at a time. You get to run a debt snowball. I covered that in a past episode. We'll link it in the description below. But that's how you break the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. You need to find a way to get some footing that isn't continuing to dig the hole deeper so you can start filling the hole in and climbing the ladder out. Or if you don't have anything to sell, you can go and find some extra work to generate some quick income now. You can do Uber Eats. You can deliver pizzas. You could mow lawns, rake leaves, or shovel driveways. Do anything you can to generate that money instead of borrowing it and digging the hole deeper. And if you need help finding the hope, finding the motivation, finding the direction, finding the encouragement to do that, well, that's what I do as a financial coach. You can reach out to me on my website and schedule a free consultation today. But before you do that, look at the homepage of my website. I mentioned the HopeFilled Financial Footsteps, the 8 HopeFilled Financial Footsteps answering the listener question today. On the website, I list all 8 of them. I'll cover it in a future podcast episode. I'll go through why I have them in the order that I do and why they are the keys to success, why they are the keys to your hope-filled financial future. What I want you to know right now is that they are available to you on my website, and that the hardest step in the journey is the first one. And if you can make that first step in your financial journey, I know you can make it to the end. I know that you can find hope. I know that you can find freedom, and I know that you can have a wealthy, healthy financial future. And with that final word of hope, I think we're going to wrap up today's episode. Until next week, until next Tuesday, budget bravely and enjoy your hope-filled financial future. Oh, I did that math wrong. I did that really wrong.